So people, I have my fabric on this table that I'll be using to make this kimono, but I'll not be illustrating how to make this on the fabric directly because my chalk is not going to show. So I'm making use of this brown paper to show this illustration. And now the first thing I'm going to do is to fold my fabric. When you want to cut, make sure you have 4 layers of your fabric, which is going to be for the front and the back. So, and if you want to make this, you can make use of 2.5 yards of fabric. That is going to be enough for this if it's crepe fabric by 60 inches length. So all you need to do is divide your shoulder measurement into 2 and mark that point at the top, and then add about any amount you want for your sleeve length. So once you're done with that, the next thing that you need to do is to mark your vertical measurements. So you just mark your bust point and you mark your hip point. So don't forget, this is an illustration. Just make sure you're working with your own accurate measurements. So once that mark is made, then you now need to decide how wide you want your sleeve to be. At that point, you go down by how wide you want your sleeve to be and mark that point. So I'm just assuming I'm using 6 inches for this illustration. Then the next thing you need to do is on that bust line, you're marking your hip measurement divided by 4. Then you add about 5 to 6 inches for ease so that this kimono is free. Okay, so your hip measurements divided by 4 is what you're marking at both points. Then you connect it straight down. Don't forget, this is a kimono and you want it to be very free. So after marking all my measurements, I just went ahead to cut everything out, and at that point I'm going to give it a slight curve so that it does not have any sharp edge. So this is me marking my shoulder slant. This is optional though while making a kimono, but sometimes I just like to put that. And after doing that, I marked my neckline, which is 3.5 inches by 1 inch for the back. And it's after I cut out the back 1 inch that I'm going to separate the fabrics and then take out the front neckline. So I'm going to cut out this 1 inch neckline. And after cutting this out, I'll separate the fabrics. So just take note of what I'm doing. I'm going to remove my pin and then take out the one part, so that I can cut out the front neckline. So just make sure you separate the fabrics before you now cut out the different neckline for the front. So after doing that, I'm going to mark my neckline for the front, and for the front neckline, I'm going to make a V neckline which will connect to the bottom of the kimono. So just look closely and you're going to understand what I'm doing. So from that point now, I'm going to go down by about 10 inches, about 8 to 10 inches. So I'm using 8 inches. So I'm going to mark 8 inches and I'm going to connect a V neckline. By the way, I have a video, my previous video, I made a scrub neckline. I'm going to link that video in the description. If you're here to watch it, just make sure you watch that video, okay? So after connecting the V neckline, I'm going to mark about 0.75 inches. Yeah, all the way down like this, just to make create a slight opening at the front for the kimono. So I'll cut it out like this and connect to the V neckline, and this is what I'm going to have. And just for the sake of clarity, I'm going to illustrate what I just did now on this pattern paper. So this is our pattern paper where we have our markings, and now I'm just showing you what I did. So after marking the back neckline, I cut that out. Then I marked a V neckline of about 8 inches like this, and then marked a little inch and connected that down to the bottom of the fabric, then cut it out. So it's that simple. I hope that is understood. If you don't understand, you may need to rewatch the video and you definitely get what I'm saying. So I'm just going to open up my fabrics like this and place them on each other so that you can see what we have already. So after arranging everything, I'm just going to bring the front shoulder line and the back shoulder line, pin it up and then sew by 1/2 inch, and now bring it back and show you what it looks like. So this is what it's going to look like after sewing by 1/2 inch. So all you need to do is simply join the other part as well, and by 1/2 inch, and that will be all for the shoulder area. So once that is achieved, I'm just going to open this up now and show you what it looks like. So you can actually see that our kimono is already forming, and we're making progress. So once that is done now, I'm going to open this, place them on each other like this. And from the nape of my neck, that's the top part of this kimono, I'm going to mark the half length of this the person I'm making this kimono for, which is 18 inches, and I'll mark that 18 inches, and that is going to mark the beginning of my pocket point. So I'll mark it on the other side. It's very important to place your fabric correctly before you take this measurement so that the both pockets are aligned correctly. So once that point is marked, I just gave it a little notch to help me remember that that's the point where my pocket will start from. Then I brought out this fabric now, and I'll be using this for my pocket. So I'll fold that first, and then I will fold it again. I'll simply place my hand on this fabric just to help me get the accurate amount of fabric I need for pockets. So I'll just place this fabric like this from that point where I made a notch, and then I'll place my hands on it, and then I'll cut the fabric. So after that, I'm going to place the pockets right sides facing right sides from the point where I made the notch like this, and I will just join it by 1/2 inch and turn it over. So you should do this to the 4 points where you are going to have your pockets. Don't forget the notches were made at every point. So you're going to have 4 pieces of these pockets. And after sewing, I just created notches so that it lays flat. Then once that's done, I'm going to iron all of them. That's the 4 different pieces together, and keep that aside. So the next thing I need to do now is to take my measurement for the attachment at the front of this kimono. So from the bottom, I'm going to start measuring. I'll take my measurement all around like this and try to ensure that it is accurate. I'll turn over from the neckline, and wherever my tape stops, which is 60 inches, I'll continue there and add whatever I have to that. So after cutting, I had about 85 inches, and since I couldn't cut that as a straight strap, I had to cut this into 2, and on a fold I have 2 inches width and 42 inches for 2.5 thereabout, because I divided it into 2 different straps. If you have a fabric that's 85 inches long, you can go ahead and do it at once. But for me, I had to join 2 pieces like this together by 1/2 inch to get to full 85 inches. I hope you understand what I mean. And so after joining the straps together, this is what I have, and I just went ahead to cut out the excess at the joining area so that it lays flat. So once that is done, I'm just going to bring my kimono, and I'll get the center of my back neckline, because since there's a joining on that strap, I want to make sure that it sits at the center of the back area so that it looks better, and it just looks well put together. So after doing this, I'm going to mark that point, and of course I'm going to pin that strap I cut out, front facing front obviously, and I'm going to pin that center of my strap there, and just ensure that whatever I do, the center of the strap sits at the center of the back. I hope you understand what I mean though. So I just gonna go ahead and join this, and after joining, this is what I have. So this video is a bit fast, and this is because I didn't want this video to be too long. I noticed you guys don't watch long form videos, and I hope that if you've watched this video to this point, you're gonna give this video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. Thank you. So open up the fabric now, and just hem the sleeve area. Just tidy the 2 sleeve areas, like just fold it 2 times half of an inch, and tidy the areas like that. Then I've joined the front. I'm gonna bring the fabric and then I'll sew and join it like this. So when you sew this, just make sure at the pocket area you take up your needle and you create that curve. Just follow the pocket as it is, just as I am showing in the video. Then you close up the dress like that. And this is what it looks like after doing that. The pocket is out already, and this is the sleeve area. So this is all about it. The last thing I need to do is to hem the bottom area like this and attach the fringe by making a top stitch. So this is what it looks like after doing that. It's pretty simple. Just take your time and follow all the steps. And the pro tip while making this kind of kimono is that you should take note of how long your fringe is before you take your full length, so that your dress does not come out longer than expected because of your fringe. So if you enjoyed this video and you learned something, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. See you in my next video. Bye.